Hello there. Welcome to Play Tennis Practice Yoga. My name is Margit Bannon. I'm both a teacher of tennis and yoga, certified through both the USPTA and the Yoga Alliance. And today we're going to be working on some movement to help you with tennis elbow that you might practice before and after your tennis play. If you find this video helpful, I would love for you to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel because we release videos every Tuesday for Yoga for Tennis Tuesdays. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. So you might have experienced that tennis elbows when you experience pain along the outside of the elbow. And this happens when it becomes irritated, most likely because the wrist extensor muscles become a little inflamed. And so because of that, we're going to work with a technique called wrist flossing that I learned from my yoga teacher. And if you're curious about that, I'll leave a little more information on this in the comments below that you can read up on. So with that said, we're going to start off in a little more of a neutral position. So we're going to do three things or three different ways of taking a similar movement. And so we're going to have our hands in this more neutral position. And notice how I have my fingers interlaced. I might squeeze and gently pull out on the fingers and the wrists a little bit so that you're creating a little more space here for the wrists themselves. And then I'm going to take my right wrist and notice how I'm bending at the wrist. So I'm bringing my right arm up and I'm letting the right arm do the work a little bit more so that I'm feeling a little more of a passive stretch on this left side. And then I'm going to do the opposite again, gently pulling out. This time I'm going to bring my left arm up. So again, notice how I'm bending at the wrists and not between the wrists and the elbows. And I'm going to start to go back and forth gently. So when you first start to get this down, you might kind of have to watch to see what you're doing to keep yourself a bit more honest. But we might move in this dynamic fashion a little bit more, especially if you're doing this before tennis play. So obviously we move the wrists in a number of ways when we play. So I'm going back and forth, just working with this active range of motion. And then after you've done that a couple times, you might find that holding this position makes sense. Okay, you've warmed up, you're holding it. Again, I'm pulling up with that right arm in this piece of the pose, letting that left arm stretch a little more passively. And then after taking a couple breaths, I'm going to hold it going the opposite way. So this is part one of the wrist flossing technique. And then you're going to come on out of that. Maybe you shake out your wrists, your hands, maybe even notice that you're holding tension in the shoulders. And then let's go ahead and try part two of this. So same thing, you're going to interlace those fingers, but now you're going to have your palms facing toward you. So similar idea. I'm going to gently squeeze in the fingers. I'm going to pull out a bit. And now I'm going to bend at the wrist, bringing my right arm or forearm towards me as I bend at my wrist. My left arm comes forward. And then again, I'm going to pull out as I slowly shift, going the opposite way. And once I'm confident that I know what I'm doing here, again, you might kind of look at your arms as you see me doing a little bit. So you're going back and forth, maybe even feeling if the sensations you're feeling are a bit different from version number one. You might find one version out of these three a little more helpful than the others, or maybe you feel the discomfort, the stretching sensations a little more obvious going one way versus the other. And then we'll go ahead and hold for a couple of breaths. Again, taking that tension out of the shoulders, letting this be a little more about what's happening in the wrists. And now take it the other way. And then we can go ahead and release, shake it out a little bit. We've got one more version to go. So now we'll go ahead and interlace those fingers. So we started, this was version number one. Version number two is palms facing towards you. Version number three, you've got the palms facing away from you. Again, I'm pulling out slightly. Again, I'm going to bend at the wrist. This time bringing my right forearm a little closer to me. Left arm moves away. Pulling out, I'll shift going the opposite manner. And I'll start to move a little more dynamically. How does this version feel in comparison to the first two? We don't have to label it good or bad, but maybe we feel it in a slightly different manner. I'm going to move just a couple more times. And then I'm going to go ahead and hold. You might even find this hold a little more helpful if you're doing this after tennis play. I'm hoping to share some other techniques with you for after tennis play with regards to tennis elbow in the weeks to come, so look out for that. So breathing for a couple more breaths here. And then I can go ahead and release the fingers, the wrists. Maybe I shake out my arms, my shoulders, take a nice breath. All right, so there you have it, the wrist flossing technique that was shared to me by my yoga teacher. As many things in the yoga tradition are, they're passed along from one teacher to the next. So, hoping to share this with you so that it helps. Try this before and after your tennis play. Let me know how it goes. And if you find this video helpful, again, become a part of our Yoga for Tennis community. Check out our other videos, many other things for different parts in the body, many other little drills so that you can practice your yoga on court. And I hope to see you soon. Happy practicing.